Hi all, welcome back to Beanie Composter. Spring is in the air, which is fantastic. We've had a few warm days, and as I was trying to collect some more leachate from the Mini, I noticed a bit of a difference, and I thought it might be quite good to show you this in a video. So we'll go to the Hotbin and I'll show you what I found. So roughly about 3 weeks ago we emptied the Mini, and that was the first ever reveal video, and it took me probably about 2 weeks to get it back up to temperature. We'd had a few cold days, and this last week's been real warm for the time of year, and although I wasn't putting that much easily digestible waste in, it did come up to temperature. And after that 2 week period I've had it running at 60 degrees, but mid range in the green, 50 to 60 pretty much all the time. I then, because the weather's been so nice here, I've been using a bit of the feed and watering some of the pots that we've got here, and I thought I'd actually drain off the Mini leachate, and when I went to drain it off I was quite surprised at what I found. So I thought this would be a good time to show you guys, and if any of you have experienced this then please let me know, because it's the first time I've obviously owned the Mark II and I've actually seen this happen. So I'll show you what it is when I take the tap off and what we find. If we look in the aeration vent on the bottom here, you can see like there's a little bit of leachate starting to come out there. But when I undo the tap, so rather than like the clear leachate that I was getting coming out, it's almost like sludgy. This is the first time I opened it, it was literally like it looked like a baby had pooped onto the tray, but it's not normal for that to come out like that. So if you'd seen the first Mini reveal, then you would have seen the compost I took out was really great, and the base plate was actually quite clear. I pushed a raking stick into it, and the holes were clear, but I've got a feeling like when we emptied the large one back last summer, there was a lot of sludge in the bottom, and I've got that feeling that in this Mini one there probably is quite a bit of sludge in the bottom there. And before I get this really working well, perhaps it just needs a good empty and a good clean out. So today I'm just going to have a look what's going on inside. I'm going to empty it, give it a clean out, and see if that makes any difference with the actual bin working a bit better, and the leachate coming out clear again. But this is what's going on inside. So there you can see we're still in the green, but not hot. We're probably just over 40 there, and this has been up to 60, but it has been a bit temperamental down to 50, and the weather's been quite warm, and I guess with my experience I would be expecting it to be sort of quite hot by now, and when you lifted the lid up it would be steaming and cooking quite well. I'm just thinking that because it's not running that well, it may be due to that sludgy stuff that's coming out of the bottom. Anyone who's wondering where the little one is, he's inside playing on his Jenga set. We just bought that from Bonnie Tyler. The only problem is every now and then it falls apart. But anyway, enough of joking around. Just gonna give this all a clean up. I'm sure if you want to know how to clean it up, we've got a video on, I think it was ants under the base plate, that shows you how to clean it. It's basic, straightforward. We will film a bit here and there and put it in the video, but I'm wondering what is going to be lurking in the bottom, and we'll definitely be showing you that. So it was around about 3 weeks ago that we actually emptied this, and I'm going to take the hatch off and see what is behind that, and I'm probably gonna move all of this stuff into the larger one because I want to do a couple of experiments with the Mini that will be coming later on the channel. But I'll just show you what's going on. I haven't opened this myself, so I don't really know. So we've got a lot of worms at the bottom. I'm wondering, you can see one there actually going down the, you know, where the aeration vent is. So I'm wondering if the worms are taking down a lot of sludge and that's what's going wrong. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to empty, you know, some of that out, probably put that on the garden, and this, which isn't broken down yet, I'm going to just put back into the, you know, the large one. By the way, if we show you along the back here, you'll see that all the compost is gone, and we've actually put that, I mulched the garden with that. We'll show you some pictures of that. It's actually went on the garden and made the garden look really nice, and that was a whole year's worth of compost that we used it all. I've just got one bag left, the bag that I sieved in the summer that I'm keeping for using for potting on some stuff. But we mulched the whole garden pretty much with a whole year's worth of compost, which was great. I'll show you what's going on in the larger one. It's also been a little bit temperamental. It's been in the green, hot composting, but not as hot as I would expect for this sort of time of year. But we have had some cold mornings, so maybe that's something to do with it. But I'll show you what's going on in this one as well before I put the new stuff out, the Mini, into it.
It's so dirty, you can't even see any temperature.
No, it's like... So you heard the missus say there, it's so dirty, you can't see anything. If only the missus was that dirty, maybe I'd get a bit more fun. Anyway, down to the composting. So I've taken out everything that's not composted yet and put that into the larger one. I think I might empty some of that out of the bottom of the large one. But the rest of this I'm just going to mulch over the garden again because it's, you know, pretty well rotted down, and that would be good for mulching. So if you can see in here, there's a lot of worms, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I think that's what's caused us to get all that sludge in the bottom. Or we'll just have to wait and see until I take the base plate out. I don't know if it's coming out on the camera, but we're, you know, hundreds of worms, I'd say. It's almost turning into a wormery. Well, look at that, that is almost like a wormery. So, you know, hundreds. I think every robin around Surrey is going to be coming over to me today. And I don't mean Batman and Robin. So, compost is emptied. On these Mark IIs, I really like the fact that you can get your finger in and lift the base plate up really easily. That's one thing you can't do on the Mark 1. So this comes out, you know, quite easily. I'm trying to do this and the missus film at the same time, so not as easy, but it does come out quite easily. And, well, if you see what's going on there, well, we've got a dreaded slug underneath there, which the missus won't be happy, but inside there we've got that same problem we had with the large one back in the summer. But we've got hundreds of worms in this one, so that would be why sludge is just basically coming out of our leachate tap and not just pure leachate. So that confirms what I was actually thinking, that there'd be some sludge down the bottom. I wasn't actually expecting there to be quite that much and that many worms. But I think me showing you this just sort of proves that when it comes to almost springtime, it is a good idea to maybe empty your compost out and give it all the clean up ready for sort of the spring summer months ahead, so it's actually in good tip-top condition. As you know, this was started up probably in October time, so you know we're looking at 5 months ago, and that's already happened just over winter time. I think every year from now on, empty all that out, give it a good clean up with some water, and just put it all back together, reintroduce your compost that hasn't, you know, broken down back into it. And I'm sure that's the reason we're not getting enough airflow through there, and we're not creating the hot enough temperatures that we should be at this time of year. I'm just going to take that out and put that over the garden, but if you've got compost that's already, you know, taken out and in bags, you could add that into it with the worms, and that would just help break down your compost even further. But like I say, I've used all my compost up and it's all over the garden now, and I'm just going to put this on the garden and it'll just feed the garden, and hopefully after this our leachate will be nice and clear again and not coming out like a baby's nappy. I'll give this a bit of a clean up, and then I'll show you a couple of tips and tricks that I've learned from a couple of people on the channel, and then we'll conclude. We might even do a summary on the bench. I've just cleaned the Hotbin out with just rainwater, but nice and clean. And one thing I really like about this channel is we get some really great comments on it, and one of the comments we recently got from Margaret Edwards was something I hadn't considered when I was emptying a Mark II, but this is a really great tip, so thank you, Margaret. This tip is for when your hot bin is full and you're about to empty it. So you take the hatch door off and you'd have the compost in there, but what I'm showing is an empty hot bin, so yours is going to be full. So you take your front door off and you'd have all your compost would be compacted there, but you've got this bit where the aeration valve on the bottom is, and you've got that little bit of mesh plate that I said to take that out. Well, you can do that and clean it, but Margaret did give a really great tip, which was to put a bit of sponge into this part here, and then as you're emptying it, you're not going to have all the compost dropping down into this part here, so that keeps it like nice and clean, almost like the Mark 1. And I think that's a great top tip. And as Margaret did say, make sure just before you put your door back on that you remove this bit of sponge, or when you put your door on, you're gonna have to open it all again to take that out if you forget to put it in. But I really thought that was a great top tip, so thanks again, Margaret, for that one. So quick summary on the bench, or as the missus would say, a massive waffle on the bench. But you know, the Hotbin Mini had been set up for around about 5 to 6 months before I emptied it, and in that time it had been running quite hot, and we'd collected quite a lot of leachate out of that, which was, you know, your dark and, you know, clear, runny, non-smelly, nice proper leachate was coming out in that time. I emptied it for the first time, which is on the big reveal, and then a week or so after me getting it back up to hot composting temperatures and then going back to empty out some more leachate, I noticed it was just coming out in a big load of sludge, and that led me to think, what's really going on with your hot bin? It had sort of struggled to keep up to temperatures, it was like fluctuating, and I thought there's not enough airflow going through, or there's a blockage right under the base plate. And as you've seen, when I've emptied the hot bin and taken out the base plate, we had all that sludge, worms, which I'm sure that's restricting the airflow. Your hot bin might just need an MOT, and I know MOT stands for Ministry of Transport, but I think when it comes to the hot bin, especially after winter, it might be a good idea to just empty your hot bin, take the base plate out, give it a good old clean up and get it ready for spring summertime. But not only spring summer, but any time your hot bin doesn't seem to be behaving, maybe you just need to give it that little MOT. Now, I hope this video has helped you out. Sorry for the waffling, and if I've bored you to tears, I apologise. But don't forget, subscribe if you haven't. Leave us some comments, especially if you've seen that sort of sludge coming out of your hot bin. It'd really be good to know how common that is, because I haven't seen that mentioned on the, the Hotbin website. Until next time, thanks for watching, happy composting and enjoy.